My name is Rick Usler, and today we're going to look at what to do if the bolt on your Evanix Speed or Conquest gets stuck or jammed in the forward position and you can't remove the magazine. The solution to this problem is pretty simple and it only takes a few minutes to fix. Before we jump right in, you're going to need a few simple tools. You're going to need first a good set of metric Allen wrenches, a regular screwdriver, some electrical tape, and a rigid piece of wire. Once you've got all that together, we can go ahead and get started. Okay, so step one of the process is going to be safety first. The first thing we're going to make sure of is that our power switch is in the off position, and then next that our gun is on safety. Now, step two, we're going to go ahead and remove the battery from the rear of the gun. There we are. Set that aside. Okay, so our next step is going to be remove the stock. For this, you're going to need a 4mm Allen wrench. Now, when you're removing the stock, please be careful. There's wires that run inside. If you just yank it, you can definitely damage your gun. So we're going to gently remove this, being careful of the trigger. And there we go. The next step is going to be to remove the gearbox from the gun. There's 6 screws that hold the gearbox in place, and you're going to need a 2.5 and a 2mm Allen wrench to remove the gearbox. We're going to start with the small screws first, and we're going to go from the top of the receiver and then the sides. Then we'll do the large screws. The screws are different sizes, so you're definitely going to want to pay attention and not get them mixed up. Now, this gearbox is most likely under pressure, so when you get to that last screw, you'll need to have a good handle, I should say a good grip on this gearbox. Okay, the pressure is coming from the hammer that's pushing up against the valve. So you want to make sure, like I said, that you have a good grip on the gearbox. Now we can go ahead and start gently releasing the pressure on the gearbox. And once that pressure is released, your bolt should automatically slide back into place. And you should be able to now remove the magazine. Okay, now that the gun's all apart, we need to put it back together. So, because of this pressure, it can be a little tricky getting this back in here. There's a little arm here on the gearbox, right here. And this little piece sits down inside where the bolt is. So what you're going to have to do is be very careful with this so that you don't damage that little arm. So we're going to apply pressure and make sure that seats in properly. And we're going to pry that hammer a little bit. There we go. Now we've got the gearbox basically in place. This gets a little tricky. I've got a screw on my Allen wrench all ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and get it started. In that hole there. I can go ahead and set in the other one. I'm just doing this in the opposite order. Big screws first, sides, and then top. Now we'll put in our small screws. You do not need to really torque these. Just snug them up good and snug. And that should do it. Okay, with that back together, it's now time to go ahead and replace the stock. In order to get the wires fished through the holes properly, I use our rigid wire. In this case, I used a coat hanger. And I simply attach the wires from the gun with a piece of electrical tape. Don't need a lot. Just want it to be a little sticky. Okay, so we fish those through. Now when you go to match the gun back, or the stock back to the receiver again, and watch out for that trigger. You gotta watch out for your cable too. Okay. Use our 4mm Allen wrench to resecure stock to the gun. Now we can go ahead and reinstall the battery. So now that we've got the gun fully reassembled, we just want to test fire it to make sure that all the mechanics are working properly. We'll start with single shot. Everything's good so far. Let's go ahead and do full auto. That's working great too. Go ahead and put the gun back to safe. Turn off the battery. And now we're confident that we can take our gun back out into the field and start having some fun. Well, that wraps up this video on how to deal with your Evanix Speeder Conquest if the bolt gets locked in the forward position. If you have any other questions about your rifle, give the folks at Pyramid Air a call at 888-262-4867 and they'll be sure to help you out.